Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar, Stayntouch Product Enhancements, version 5.78, Out of Inventory Room Status, Breakfast List Report, and more, presented by Stayntouch Implementation Consultant, Victor Azul. I'm your host, Erin Fisher, the content writer here at Stayntouch. Today's presentation will cover how you can get the most out of the Stayntouch PMS version 5.78 product release. In this webinar, we will cover the following enhancements: out of inventory room status, breakfast list report, mark breakfast add-ons, deposit rules for collecting primary guest balance, the Finland reference number, enhancements to the room status activity log, and finally enhancements to queued rooms functionality. We'll have a short Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation and we'll answer them in the order they're received at the end. And that's all I have right now. Victor, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Erin. And then, Erin, if you could just confirm this correct screen you're seeing.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Hi, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started with highlighting some of the new features within Stayntouch with this version that just got released. The first one we're going to talk about is the out of inventory room status. So this is actually in pilot right now, and we're testing it out with some properties right now. But if you would like to be also included, feel free to reach out to our support team, and we'll include you in the list. So once it gets released to general release, we would be able to toggle it on for you and notify you as well here. So with the out of inventory room status, rooms can now be placed as out of inventory if a room or rooms should be removed from the hotel's inventory or disabled permanently for a period of time. Maybe, for example, the room is no longer needed or it needs to be deleted from the system, or you have something like remodeling that will take an extended period of time. You can obviously place the room as out of inventory, and then it won't affect your ADR or it won't affect your occupancy. So you'll get a true count without those rooms included in them. With this out of inventory status feature, it must be enabled by the admin, Stayntouch admin. So again, like I said, once we release it to the general, we would go ahead and toggle it on for you if that is something you are interested in. As with the out of order and out of service room status, you will also see now the out of inventory once that is toggled on for your property here. So just to show you what that looks like now, I've already had it toggled on for our demo property here. But if I now move over to the menu here and I go into the housekeeping and room status now, and maybe, for example, I'm going to select a certain room type because, again, maybe they're doing remodeling of that particular room type. I'm actually going to click on the filter here and select our presidential suite here and go ahead and apply here. So I have two room types here of presidential suite of 135 and 639. I'm going to go ahead and select both of those, click on that purple pencil, toggle over to the service status, and typically we would only see in service, out of service, or out of order, but now we do see the out of inventory option here now. And again, that will only display if we toggle it on the back end of S&T admin here. I'm going to go ahead and select the out of inventory. You'll get this little notification here that you're about to put two rooms out of inventory. And obviously, like I mentioned already, it will affect your occupancy and your RevPAR as well here. So again, this particular room type is going to be out of inventory probably, let's say, till the midsummer time. So we'll go like July 31st here. Room return status, similar to how it functions with the out of service and out of order here. Obviously, we would select dirty here. Scrolling down a little more, reason, we would select one of those maintenance reasons that you at the property level would have configured here. We'll do renovation here. And then again, you do have the option to type in additional text here. So I can do something placing rooms out of inventory due to renovations, carpet, painting, things like that. I can add as a description or comments here. Correct that spelling there. And then once that's completed, I can go ahead and update. So now once I hit update, I do see similar to the out of order out of service, they will be highlighted in gray with the OOI lettering here, letting me know, signifying me that they are out of inventory and the reason that they are out of inventory as well here. Like I said, this will also show up now on your availability screen here. So if I click on the little line graphic to the top right corner here, I do see my available rooms here. So then, I'm sorry, the occupancy percentage. So now those would be removed. Instead of having the out of order, those rooms would be actually removed completely from the rooms inventory here, that the out of inventory rooms will not show up under this total count here. So again, that is in pilot stage right now, and we will be releasing out to the general once we have confirmation the pilot is completed. And then again, if you are interested in that, feel free to reach out to the support team so we do activate that for your property there. With the out of inventory as well, this is permission based. So with the user role, you can assign that permission. And if you don't want that permission assigned to a user role, you obviously don't need to assign it to that user role here. So just going to my settings here, settings again, going into hotel and staff here, and then we're going to go into permissions here. Under hotel admin, just going to do a quick control find here, inventory. So put rooms out of inventory again as a permission. So if you did want that permission, obviously you would move it over from the right side over to the left. And then if I wanted to remove that permission, I'll just move it from the left side to the right here. So you just want to make sure that you do enable that in order for you to utilize this functionality here. Jumping over to the next feature here is going to be the breakfast list report. One of the first things you want to set up with the breakfast list report, basically you're now are able to Stayntouch PMS now offers a breakfast list report for you to produce, which produces a breakfast list that can be printed in current business date or future dates. So for example, if you're a property that utilizes breakfast as an add-on and you want to forecast or plan ahead to see how many adults purchase breakfast, how many children purchase breakfast, you'll be able to run this report within Stayntouch here. So first thing you want to do is under your add-ons here is make sure that you have a breakfast add-on created, obviously, and then also making sure that you mark it as a breakfast add-on here. So the way that this will look is I actually have one created here. So this breakfast package here, you want to make sure once you create that, you also select here breakfast add-on as toggled on here. Now, as part of this breakfast add-on, if once you have this toggled on, this will show up on, like I mentioned, the reports here. If you have this toggled off, then that won't show up on the report. So this only plays a factor. If it is toggled on, it will show up on the reports. But again, toggling on or off on the actual breakfast package here is dependent if you want it to display on the report or not here. So I do have it toggled on here, as you can see, and now I'm going to go over to my dashboard again and go to my reports here. So I'm going to go to the menu, reports, new report, and this is going to work similar to all the other reports where you can go ahead and run the report on the fly directly within Stayntouch, or you can go ahead and schedule it to have it sent to you on a daily basis, a weekly basis, so on and so forth here. So breakfast list is what it's called here. Go ahead and select that. Select today's date here. I have the option to show all reservations or just the ones with breakfast as an add-on. So again, in this case, I just want to see the ones that have breakfast as an add-on here. We'll go and select room number here. And I'll go ahead and run a report here. I'm going to go to my inbox here. Click on the little refresh button here till I see it's able to be downloaded or printable. Again, I can click directly into it, so it is interactive again, so I can see the breakfast list here. So these are all the reservations I currently have in-house that have breakfast included. I can see the number of adults here as well, and then the names and the room numbers here as well here. If I wanted to print this out or download this, I do have that option as well here. So again, if I printed it out, a cool thing with this printing it out is that it actually shows on here on the right side the number of adults and children here. So you can see for Carl here, it's 2 adults here. And then for Nika here, she actually has 3 adults and 1 child here. It's kind of light here, but you'll see a C or an A in the box here notifying you that it's an adult or child here. So again, you can plan ahead and figure out what needs to be ordered in regards to breakfast because you do have 8 adults here and then 1 child here under for breakfast that included the add-on there. Again, and then you can download this in a CSV Excel file as well, similar to all the other reports if you wanted to download it and display it that way as well here. So that is the breakfast list report that just got added. Again, if you're a property that uses breakfast as an add-on and you want to go ahead and forecast and plan ahead, this would be a great report for you to run on a daily basis. You can run it obviously after the end of day has ran or during the morning process as something that you schedule to receive automatically here. All right, going to jump over now talking about deposit rules. So You can now set up a deposit rule to always collect a deposit for a guest balance. The system will exclude any routed charges that do not belong to the primary guest here. So one of the first things you're going to want to do to use this functionality is create a deposit rule here. So I'm going to go into my settings again here. And I'm going to go into my rates here and then rules and restrictions. So I went ahead and created a deposit rule here. So I'm going to scroll down here, go to my deposit request. And I created this 100% deposit at time of booking here. So this logic is only applied when the percentage and nights options are selected from the amount type dropdown. So that means under this section right here, you select either the percentage or the amount here. And then when you add the new rule as well, you don't want to select no deposit requests on reservation with a routed charge here. So if you have this option selected, the system will not request a deposit, but if you have it unselected, then it will require or request a deposit here. So I went ahead and created this deposit rule, and again, I unselected the no deposit request on reservation with routed charge here. So now if I'm making a reservation here, so I'm going to go ahead and click new here. I'm going to book against this Amazon rate that we created here. Room type here. Then I'm going to go ahead and add some additional add-ons here. So let's go ahead and add champagne here. Let's go ahead and add an early check-in as well here. And then let's go ahead and we'll add one more, which would be a pet package here as well here. So we added those additional add-ons to my reservation here. I'm going to go ahead and click book. I'm going to go ahead and enter a guest name here. Just filling out these requirements for the guest card here. I'm just going to go ahead and select cash for now, and I'll click on pay deposit later. So again, I'm going to go ahead and set up the routing rules here now. So if I select bill and charges here, and then I do bill routing, and then I go ahead and add routes here to Amazon. And again, room and tax are going to be routed to the company here. So I'll go ahead and save route now here. If I go back to my bill and charges screen, I do have the option to just pay the deposit on that amount that's due there. So again, it's going to be that $182.50, which included that pet fee, and then as well as the early check-in, as well as that champagne package that I included on this. So the way that this will look as well, I have another reservation here where the window will pop up for the deposit due here. So I have due $102.50 for this particular guest here. Again, I can go into bill and charges here. I see that room and tax are being routed, but the charges that I can take the deposit in on, as if I click on my pro forma invoice here, let's go ahead and show that those charges are the early check-in for $20, the F&B package, which is $75, plus a tax of $7.50. So that would total the $102.50. So basically the way that this would play into factor is when the guest is checking in, obviously they would be required to take a deposit instead of taking an authorization, just so you could take payment right away in regards to that. So that is the deposit rule for collect on the primary guest balance. Again, this would play a factor if there is routing in place here. All right, I'm going to jump over now to talk about the last feature here, which is in regards to the Finland reference number. So if you are one of our Finland properties here, the Finnish reference number algorithm can now be generated from within Stayntouch PMS and can be printed on locked and closed invoices. The Finnish reference number functionality must be enabled by Stayntouch admin. So if you are one of our Finland properties, feel free to reach out to support to enable that feature, and they will be able to activate it on your behalf there. All right, the last two things I'm going to talk about today are going to be enhancements that were actually requested from other properties that we went ahead and released within Stayntouch PMS here. The first one is going to be in regards to housekeeping here. We made the following enhancement in regards to housekeeping here. So if I go into housekeeping and room status now, if I go into one of the room numbers here, let's go to 102, for example, under the activity log here, it will now show the last 200 records. So it'll return the last 200 records in regards to the changes that were done to that particular room number in the log here. There will be 50 records per page here. So I can see 4 pages listed here. There'll be 50 records listed here. And then again, the page load time took about 3 seconds or less to pull this information up. Prior to this, it would only hold the data for up to 14 days. That has now been removed. So now you can see that I can pull data from up to 200 records here. And I can see that this was dated back till June 13th here, 2022. So again, there was a limitation before, but now it allows you to see more of the historical data in regards to the room number here under the room log here in this section here. And then the last enhancement feature here is in regards to queued rooms functionality here. So I'm going to go back into the dashboard here, and go back into the settings. So previously the queued room toggle was actually under rooms here and under housekeeping here, where you enabled queued rooms if you wanted to utilize that functionality. We have now removed that queued room toggle, and then now you can find it under reservations and under reservation settings now. Scrolling down to the bottom here, I do have the enabled queued rooms if you wanted to use that functionality. And now you have the option to skip key creation for queued rooms. So again, previously when you put a guest in queued room, you had the option to go ahead and create that key. Now with this toggled on, you can now bypass that and not create the key for the guest, and then obviously they'd return back to the property, and then you could go ahead and create the key. So kind of showing you what this looks like before, if you've not seen it before. I'm gonna go ahead and check one of these guests in here. Actually, I'll put them into queue here. So I put them into queue. Select the room number. Go ahead and agree to the terms and conditions here. And then again, I had the option to create the key here, right? So now instead of that screen key creation popping up, if I go back to my settings now, and I go into reservations and reservation settings again, and now I'm going to go ahead and toggle this on, skip key creation for queued rooms. Go ahead and make sure I save changes there. Now, if I go back to my dashboard and check in another guest here, and again, I'm going to put them to the queue as well here. Create terms and conditions. I now no longer see that pop up to make the key. So again, for this guest, Sandy Smith, she would come back to the property, and then we would go ahead and check them in and then proceed to making them a key here. So that is a toggle, again, that you'll need to toggle on if you do want to use that functionality. Otherwise, it will just be whatever it was by default, that if you do move a guest into the queued room tile there, you would just go ahead and make them the key, or you can X that out and not make them a key at that section there. But at least now you have the flexibility if you do want to skip the key creation when putting a guest into queued rooms here. All right, well, that wraps up our enhancement features and features for the release of version 5.78. I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Erin with any questions that the audience may have here.
Awesome, thank you, Victor. And then I'd like to turn over the floor for questions. Remember, you can submit questions through the question box in the middle of the control panel. So I don't see any questions yet, but I'll give everyone a few moments. All right, since there are no questions, I'd like to take to the floor to offer some final thoughts. So in this webinar, we covered the out of inventory room status, breakfast list report, how to mark breakfast add-ons, deposit rules allowing for the collection of primary guest balance, the Finland reference number, enhancements to the room status activity log, and enhancements to the queued rooms functionality. With that, I'd like to conclude our presentation. Thank you all for coming, and if you have any additional questions, feel free to email me at erin.fisher@stayntouch.com. Thanks again.